Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
Off and running on a hump day. It is a Wednesday, coming away live from beautiful west side of Las Vegas. It is PTL, Pushing the Limits here on KSHP. Brian Shapiro out today. Chris Wynn in today. And a lot to go over, of course, as we are smack dab in the middle of a very busy week on all fronts when it comes to politics, when it comes to social issues, when it comes to current events across the board, even intersection with sports, as Brian and myself had a chance to talk about on Monday. As I pointed out, I'm Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro, along with our friend of the show, does a great job when she's on and gets a chance to talk about all things going down. Ileana Dropkin joins us here live in studio. Ileana, always great to have you on board. First time you and I have had a chance to be here live in studio and doing this show. A little PTL action on a hump day.
And I'm excited. Like, you're a cool dude, so this is fun.
I appreciate that. There's a little I don't know about some of the textures out there and some of the callers. They might not feel the same way about both of us.
And
but
hey, I'm good with that, right? We all have our own opinions.
Exactly. But I appreciate the sentiments, and it is great to be here live in studio with you to bounce around a number of topics, right, that are certainly consequential. There are a lot of headlines out there, folks, obviously, some decisions being made around the globe that impact the United States as well as other countries as well, too. Of course, here we are a matter of 5 months plus away from the 2024 election. And so all eyes right now are on Manhattan, the borough in New York City, where, of course, the hush money trial for Donald Trump continues. And the defense rested yesterday on a Tuesday. And
only calling two witnesses?
They called 2 witnesses. and it was a pretty quick situation on that front and on that end.
A bit of a volatile situation, actually, with one of them, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And according to the judge now, there will not be closing arguments until after Memorial Day. So we're talking about pretty much 10
next
days,
Tuesday.
right?
Yep.
Until that takes place.
Next Tuesday. So
is it next Tuesday? Yeah. So a handful of days until the closing arguments in that case. Very interesting, Ileana. When I was rolling around town yesterday, I listened to a lot of stations in town, and I was listening to one of the conservative stations in town. And it's always kind of hilarious when you hear these quote unquote, and I put in air quotes as we're on both the Occupy Democrats Facebook page as well as the YouTube page, as well as the PTL YouTube page as well, too. And we're all over the World Wide Web here on PTL, folks. And the phone number is 702-221-7283. We very much appreciate your comments and your takes as we go throughout the show today. But as I told you, I was rolling around Vegas and getting a news update from one of the conservative stations. And they're, of course, giving the details regarding Donald Trump's trial and kind of the timeline.
News,
And and it's a news station, right?
Air quotes.
And I'm thinking to myself, they're throwing on the end of the news broadcast that Donald Trump Jr., throughout this trial isn't necessarily down and is not happy with how biased the trial is and how wronged his father has been. This is on the news update, right?
Well,
it's only like a 3-minute segment.
It's not the news
every
anymore.
15 minutes, right, on this conservative news station in town. And I'm like, really? Like you're gonna lend some credibility to one of the family members of the guy who's actually facing the case, who's actually the one, on trial technically? Like, give me a break. But as we pointed out, the timeline is set, so it's going to be after Memorial Day, where you'll have the closing arguments, and then of course things will wrap up when it comes to that case. But I talked about this with Brian, Ileana, and with Joe Walsh last week. There was a disagreement between myself and Brian and Joe. They seem to feel that once this trial's over, there's going to be no legal jeopardy whatsoever for Donald Trump the rest of the time until the election. They think that all the other cases are just going to stop, and there's going to be nothing that goes on
they
until the election, which is By the way, it's a travesty, though. That's a travesty
I
to think
totally
that
agree with you,
that would even take
but
place.
it kind of has. Like it kind of has.
Well, I mean, it has. Well, it hasn't yet because we still have 5.5 months till the election.
Yeah, but there's
So-
indications that that a lot of the cases will be pushed along until after the.
Well, I mean, again, I'll reiterate what I just said, and I'll expand on it.
I
It's a
hope it's not, but
travesty because
agree.
the idea that the American people would not know that one of the candidates for president could be guilty of inciting an insurrection on January 6th. I'm just talking about
Okay,
that
but
one
we know.
case.
Hold on. But
Well, no, I'm not finished yet.
No,
Well,
no,
well,
no.
time
But I'm
out.
saying
Leanna.
we already know what happens,
I
whether
haven't
or not
finished yet,
he's
though, yeah.
found guilty or not. Like we know what happens.
Well, I'm just trying to finish my point. So
Please go ahead.
it's just that's just one of the cases,
Yeah.
right? I'm talking about the documents case. I'm not talking about the case in Georgia, okay? That's one case where the idea, again, I'll reiterate, that someone who is running for president, and look, you and I are both on the left here, okay? I don't have any
absolutely.
illusions
Right.
thinking, I don't think Donald Trump's going to win in November. I think it's kind of, by the way,
let's
I
hope
think it's
not.
kind of ridiculous that he's even a candidate right now. And we can expand on that throughout the show because we do have time. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners out there and watchers, okay, think, all right, here we go. We got Chris Wynn, who's a lefty, who's hosting the show today, and he's in studio with Ileana, who's also on the left. So all we're going to hear today is a bunch of bashing of Donald Trump and just laying
I'm a practical left.
waste to Republicans.
Hold on. So I'm a practical left. Like I'm not. I'm practical. I can kind of understand both sides. Like there is a school of thought where you don't want to impact election. Now he's on the ballot. We can't do anything about that. He has a legal right to run right now, right? Because he hasn't been convicted of anything.
Yeah.
He has a legal right to run right now. So that you don't want to sway the election either way. And guilty verdict will sway it with the independents, with the people that can swing the election, right? So there is a thought to, well, let the people vote. Like they at this point, if you don't know what happened on any of these cases, like you're living in a bunker or you just don't care and it's not going to matter anyways.
Exactly.
Like,
well, I agree with that.
I mean, you're either engaged or you're not. And that's the sad part of this. And I always say this is what you get by not having an educated population. This is what happens when you don't have people who are educated, engaged, and you don't have to be college educated to be educated. You just have to read. You have to be well read. You have to be engaged, right? Then you become an educated person. It does not matter if you have a degree or multiple degrees. There are a lot of ignorant people out there with degrees. So
I'll expand on that. It's not just ignorance, okay? And it's not just they're not well read. They just don't accept reality. That is the bottom line.
Well, we all have our own reality.
Ileana, people do not
Right.
believe that the sky is blue and that it's above them.
Or
people
that
do
the
not
Earth,
accept
they're still flat
facts.
earthers, right? I absolutely
So
agree
it's
with
not
you.
it's not just about
Absolutely,
education
100%.
because let's be honest, people have lives. They have jobs.
Right.
They have you don't have an opportunity to
Right.
to necessarily do a ton of research, right? I'm not going to sit here. I'm a talk show host, right? By mostly sports by trade, right? But I can weigh in on politics just like the next person can. But I'm not sitting back doing research every day, all day, or doing a ton of it as far as, getting background on every single topic across the board. So your point as to the public's not educated, yeah, that's just the way it is. I mean, there's just people out there that aren't going to be wired in on all the facts all the time or all the topics. But there's people that are not only are they not wired in, they believe BS. They believe things that are not true.
But wait, let's talk about where they get their news. Hold on, but a lot of that is where they get
that's
their
the
news.
problem. They get it from outlets
right?
that are not credible
and what
outlets.
they're talking about now is that next generation, the Gen Zs, like they're getting their information strictly from social media, strictly. And so there's the danger in that. So like anything that's on there, they take as, oh, this must be true. Right? We don't have like a true. I mean,
no, it's more complicated than that though, because people can get your news from social media if it's from credible sources, right?
That's
credible
what I'm saying.
sources.
Like you have anything
where you can double check it and say, okay, that's real, and that's true.
They're not double checking. They're
it's
just
not.
saying, like,
That's you made a general statement about social media, right? People get that. Yeah,
yeah.
A lot of young people don't read the newspaper anymore. Nobody reads the newspaper anymore.
I own the newspaper. I can tell you they don't read anymore.
Yeah, I'm not going to peg you as far as your age, but I'm probably older than you. I remember a time where people
Mid-40s, it's
actually,
okay.
when people actually did read the newspaper,
Yeah.
right?
I
And
still
so-
like perusing the newspaper. I like something physical. I like
Right.
the way it feels.
But the point being is that it's not just necessarily about people that are informed deeply when it comes to the numbers, when it comes to the
Right.
facts. What I'm talking about is there are millions of Americans out there that just believe complete BS.
Right.
There's millions of Americans out there, and Brian talks about it on the show every day. You talk about it with Brian when you're on the show with him. You know, there's people out there that believe Joe Biden's not a duly elected president in 2020. We're now in 2024.
Right.
And there's people out there that actually believe that. And if you try to talk to them like a normal human being or like an adult and say, look, you're wrong. It's not a matter of opinion. You're wrong.
I want to bring something up because I hear
they
a lot
don't
of
listen
that.
to you.
I hear a lot of this from the other side saying, well, there were a lot of Democrats that didn't accept Al Gore being the right, or didn't accept Al Gore's defeat. There's a lot of people on our side. And that's actually not true. Like the Supreme Court, decided that, but we all accepted that Bush won. We accepted that fact. There might have been a small group that didn't, but they still, everyone still accepted George Bush as the president, and that's the difference. Like no one.
Well, that was 24 years ago,
but
and
no
that was
one
a different
tried to
situation.
attack.
Yeah, that
No
was
one-
a situation in Florida.
But they're
obviously.
still talking.
I was in
about
Florida
that.
at the time.
But they're still like Marco Rubio brought that up the other day, saying that, well, your side, the Democrats didn't agree to that, and Hillary Clinton didn't concede, which she did. She absolutely called
did,
and
yeah.
conceded. But they're still bringing up these things, and I want to say we are very different than that. Like that's apples and oranges when you come. We may not have liked what happened. You may have a lot of people kind of go back and say, well, this is what happened. The Supreme Court really decided it. He won the popular vote, but they ended up coming around where these people just straight have not come around, just believe there was all these election frauds that has never been proven. And so that's the difference.
Again, I'm going to use the word, this phrase a lot with us today because I'm going to expand on the situation in Florida in 2000. There were the hanging chads. There was a lot of things that were complicated that the normal average Joe, average Jane was not aware of or was necessarily interested in the nuts and bolts of it, right?
500
They were just, if they were Democrats and they had an issue with it, they were just off the top. They're like, I'm a Democrat. I can't believe our guy lost. That's kind of the way they looked at it.
500 votes.
Yeah.
It wasn't thousands or millions.
And it's totally different. You brought up Hillary Clinton. That's what Republicans bring up now. They don't, and MAGA, they don't bring up 2000. They don't bring up 2000. They bring up 2016 with Hillary. And they say what you just said. Well, you just said five seconds ago about how Hillary Clinton didn't concede. She never conceded. And all you Democrats you never conceded back in 2016. Let me tell you something. 2016 wasn't that long ago. I remember I was a Democrat. Was I pissed off that Hillary lost? Yes, I was. Okay. But I did not deny that Donald Trump won the election.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And that was not my space. That was not the space that Democrats were in.
Marco Rubio did bring up 2000 and kind of threw that back, and it was the other day. So they are bringing those, and I want to say, like, it is not the same.
Yeah,
it is not the same because Democrats are not going and trying to storm the Capitol and do that. We're just not like that. Like some of our left of our parties, I kind of joke about it. Like we're just a bunch of hippies and we're gonna ignore the crap out of you, but we're not the ones carrying guns and threatening people's lives. Like that's the dichotomy of what we have, right? That's where we're at. And that's what I find really sad. Like we're not the dangerous sect.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a bunch of white nationalists being a bunch of Democratic Jews.
Circling back, the phone number is 702-221-7283. Hit us up with your phone calls, your thoughts on this situation. Do you think that the trial should move forward? There should be some type of trial going on, basically is what I'm saying, throughout the next 5 months leading up to the election from a time standpoint and from a American society standpoint. Should we know something more with respect to one of the guys who's running for president of the United States in 2024. The number is 702-221-7283. To circle back what we were talking about, though, Ileana, when it came to Donald Trump and today, right? My point is this. Yes, the American people deserve to know whether or not one of their candidates is going to be found guilty of an insurrection. It's not just about what you said, where you said, well, yeah, people should already know by now. Yeah, Well, that people's opinions are already baked in. I get that. Okay. The MAGA people, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what
the
he
MAGA
does.
people are going to vote for Trump no matter what. It doesn't matter. The guy could absolutely positively be convicted in a criminal court, of felonies, multiple felonies. They're still going to vote for him.
They're just going to say it was unfair.
Who's going to win the election? And by the way, Ileana, I told this to Joe Walsh and to Brian Shapiro last week when I talked to them. Here's the deal. All right. This election is going to be won because of turnout. All right. That's how this election is going to get won. And it's also going to be won by the number of independents. Well, absolutely. But in this election, especially because of the dynamic of the two candidates, right? You've got everybody talking about how old both these guys are. You've got, especially Democrats talking, not Democrats, especially the Democratic candidate and Joe Biden, right? That's like one of the things that when I talk to independents, right? People that are technically, I guess, still on the fence, whether it's voting for Joe Biden or somebody else.
Be on the fence.
The first thing they bring up is Joe Biden's age. It's the first thing they bring up, right? It's not about substance as far as like what he brings to the table as a candidate.
Right.
It's not about what he's done as president. It's not about what he's done in his career.
Well, because
it's about his age.
Right.
So,
and it is because Trump has done a really good job of defining Biden before Biden and his team could. Absolutely. That is what Trump does. He excels at. He is the best at branding and that kind of nonsense and throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks.
Well, Trump gets a lot of help on that. It's not just Trump doing it.
Well,
he gets a lot of help from his minions, and from MAGA.
Right, but he's the leader of that, right? But he's the leader of this, right? This whole movement of MAGA started with the Tea Party, and it's gotten progressively worse. So what they were craving is a leader, and there goes, there comes Trump, and that is. But this, let's make no means about it. This was not Trump creating this. This was already started with the Tea Party, and it's just fueled, and it's just spiraled into what we have today. Is we don't have a Republican Party. We have the party of MAGA, and the Republican sect is a very, very increasingly small, old school Republicans, the statesmen, the Romneys, all the people who are retiring because they can't make it in this crazy dynamic, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and there's no question about it. But MAGA it's turned into this monster that has gotten
right. It's definitely a monster,
and they've hijacked. I'll characterize it this way: they've hijacked the Republican Party, right? So that to me is the way I would look at it.
It's chased kind of the
you're talking about it morphing from the Tea Party,
right?
I mean, I guess, but
sure.
Again, the average Joe, the average Jane out there, they think of it. They think, okay, there's just this entity that is just it's like a locust, and it's taken over
but my
the
point
Republican Party, and it is MAGA now, and it's been MAGA for the last six
right, but
years.
It was the Tea Party before that, and that's who we started seeing get elected, and it's just morphed. Just Trump came along and made all the bigotry and all the things be okay. And, and he said, I'm your leader, and this is mainstream now. Let's go.
But I would argue, though, that the Tea Party had more political legitimacy than MAGA does.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, back then, it was a different world politically in America.
But because Trump is not
legitimacy.
Right, but Trump is not legitimate. And that's where you have. So he became the de facto leader of this thing and said, okay, let's go. All you people out there that feel disenfranchised. Now that is part of it too, right? These are the people who feel disenfranchised. It is a case between like the educated and the uneducated. Like they know that for who the followers are, and primarily it's the not so educated.
702-221-7283 is the phone number.
I know I'm going to get a lot of hate
here
over
Here
those
comes
comments.
the love, Ileana.
Yeah,
and
it's all right.
Win and Ileana in the house here for Brian Shapiro on Pushing the Limits.
I'll
be checking also the Occupy Democrats text line on the Facebook page, also jumping over to the YouTube page as well, too, checking out some of the comments as it's already getting hot and heavy over there on that front. Mark joins us now here on Pushing the Limits. Mark, we appreciate your time. How are you? Mark,
hey guys, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man.
How are you guys?
We're doing great. We're diving right into this here because obviously the trial has kind of been put on hold, right, for a handful of days here. And so you can kind of get a chance to reflect on what's about to transpire for the next 5 months leading into the election.
I don't think there's a person on this planet that despises Trump more than I do. I mean, there's many other people hate him as much as I do, but I don't think anyone despises him more than I do. With that being said, I truly believe in my heart that Trump will not be convicted of a felony. And that is because, and I was listening to a Democratic newscaster state that even though Trump may be guilty of all these misdemeanors, they did not actually prove that he knew that it would somehow alter the election because Michael Cohen lied on the stand stating that the phone was handed to Trump and Trump knew nothing about it, which came out in court. And Cohen also stole from the organization. So I think that Michael Cohen's testimony has really hurt the prosecution. And think about the prosecutor, the DA. I said from the beginning, this guy is not that great, because what happened a few months back when the governor of Texas sent all these immigrants up to New York, and a few of them attacked the New York City police, and Alvin Bragg released them all on their own reconnaissance to come back to court, and they fled the state. And there was a huge uproar. And from that point on, I said, this Bragg, man, I don't think he's that great, this guy.
All right, I'll check you on a couple things, and I want Ileana to chime in here.
Yeah.
First of all, he doesn't have to be. He's not on trial. Doesn't need to be convicted of proving that it affected the election. That's not one of the charges.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
No,
I don't know if
I
you
didn't mean
misspoke
that.
or said that. That's not what he's on trial for. He's on trial for other things that.
Okay, so
yeah.
so I want to pipe in here because what they had is they had all the proof. Like, they had all the proof. He signed what they did. And first of all, Michael Cohen was
It's a paper
not,
trail, Mark. Yeah.
And he was not the only witness. He was the last witness. And so they methodically, I don't know if you saw the rest, he was just the headliner, right? Him, Daniels was another headline, but all the other people from the Trump organization methodically talked about how it all worked with the signing, with this, how he worked himself, and that he didn't let any check go without verifying where the money was. So they already laid that framework. And when you talk about the credibility of Michael Cohen, the prosecution had already established that he was a faulty witness. That's what they use. Like, most of the witnesses they use in criminal trials are not exactly the saints of people. Like, there are people who stole, there are people who, committed crimes who served, in prison. So they had already done that legwork for the jury. So that's not.
One more thing.
And look, Mark, we can make predictions and stuff and say, well, I don't think so you made a prediction,
but it's
brother.
only
You
for
said,
the people in that
he doesn't
room.
think he's going to be charged with a felony. Look, I don't know what the jury's going to do.
Right,
all right,
nobody
I'm not
does.
going to sit here and act like I'm a legal expert. But we can just sit back and wait and see. If he gets off completely, and if he doesn't get charged with a felony, then we're going to have to accept the verdict, right? We're going to have to accept that. But I don't necessarily agree with your. It's a very premature. Well, of course. Well, you said a lot of things, but let me finish off real quick. All right.
Sure.
You're making a prediction about something that is. I mean, it's totally. Something that is up in the air right now. You don't know.
And there's a lot of
it's just speculation. Yeah.
There's a lot of attorneys and things that have said, and prosecutors, former prosecutors, that have said that the prosecution did make their case and they've done a really good job. Yeah.
Let's put it this way: there's a lot of legal experts that think that they're very confident that the prosecution is going to win this case. Take it for what it's worth. I don't know what he's going to get convicted of.
Not on
I don't know
points,
that the exact charges or whatever. Because I'm not a lawyer and I don't try to act like one. But listening to people that are in the know, that are legal experts, there's not a bunch of legal experts out there that are saying Donald Trump's getting off scot-free and is not going to be charged with a felony. There's just not.
One thing. There was a Democratic prosecutor, a former federal prosecutor down in Florida who has a podcast, and he stated that there's no way a felony conviction will hold up because a state cannot charge anyone with a federal crime, and that's exactly what they're trying to do.
All right, well, that's the opinion of one person you're telling us about. I've heard. Again, I don't need to repeat what I just said.
Well,
I've heard multiple legal experts say that the prosecution has been good. I'll rephrase it this way, you guys. the prosecution is in good shape in this case. All right,
they
I don't need to elaborate any more than that.
But they wouldn't have moved forward if they could, if they absolutely thought or they couldn't get a conviction. They would not have moved forward. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark, for the phone call. We appreciate it. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. Joseph joins us now here on PTL. Joseph, we appreciate your call on a Wednesday. What's going down?
Okay, here's my piece.
Yes.
First of all, I really do hope the jury will find Trump guilty, because I know that Michael Cohen is telling the truth about Trump, and I sure know Stormy Daniels did tell the truth. And also the other person who was missing to testify was, like I say, E. Jean Carroll, and probably those beauty pageants, those beauty girls who are at the beauty pageant that Trump runs. They should testify too, because Trump did enter the dressing room while the girls are getting ready.
But that's not.
Well, that's not part of the case, though. Yeah, you're talking about something that's not. It's not one of the charges. Has nothing to do with the case. The case is about essentially transfers of funds.
Right.
It's a paper trail case, right?
Right.
That is the case. The prosecutors they're going after the process of how Stormy Daniels acquired the money and where the money where the money came from.
How they classified
right?
it.
Yes.
Right.
That's
how they
the
classified
meat
it.
of the case. It's not about that. It's not about what the previous caller Mark said about how well they didn't prove that it affected the outcome of the election or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that stuff.
Had he paid her in order to, save face with his wife, save his marriage,
could have been fine. It would have been fine.
It would have been fine.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's that he did it so that the American people wouldn't come out before the election and sway that against him.
Right.
That is what that's the problem there. Like that's what makes it criminal. Right? So that's
well, no,
that's
and
what
also
we're
but
talking
also about. The way where the money technically came from also is a part of the case too. Where technically did it come from campaign funds, right?
Right.
Campaign finance laws, right? And that's also a big part of it.
But it all has to do with him running and the reason that he paid. The fact that he paid her off, no one cares. It's why he did it.
Exactly.
Is the problem.
And the thing is, Joe, what's hilarious about this, it's not even hilarious, it's kind of hilariously pathetic and ridiculous, is that this is a guy, who Republicans who are supposed to be the party of family values hold up as their guy to run for president in 2024. He's their pick, and they stand behind him. You had a number. I mean, we can go on and on about this, Joe. And I mean, you saw the pictures, right, of all the Republicans in the same tie, the same jacket, who were there in support. Guys like the Speaker of the House was standing behind, kissing the ring of Donald Trump in a case in which he paid off a porn star. This is the same guy, and Brian and I and Ileana with Brian, and when I'm on with Brian, when Brian's on by himself, and Brian's on every day talking about the word hypocrisy.
Right. This is it. Right?
You got Johnson up there. He's a guy who had basically used an anti-porn app with his son, so they can monitor their porn intake or non-porn intake. And he's down there at the actual trial of a guy who paid off a porn star. This stuff is so absurd to me, And I know I'm going off a tangent here a little bit, but the point being is that the hypocrisy is so outrageous and so absurd.
They're terrified of him, right? Because it's that base, because it's a cult. So that is like the cult leader. So as much as I think a lot of them find him reprehensible, they still go and worship at this shrine.
No question about it.
Because
Joe,
they feel they have to.
Joe, any last words?
Okay. The one thing I want to say about the jury, like I say, I just hope they find him guilty, because this is what Trump is. He doesn't care about the family. And if I was a rich person, I would never make the mistakes Trump made. I would never have an affair. I would never give out hush money to somebody. And besides, Melania, she should have done what she should have done is divorce Trump, take whatever money she has, and take her son Barron away from his father. And also, he should never be going to the graduation to begin with.
It's his son. He's going to go to graduation. And Joe, I believe you. I believe you would never do that, my friend. I don't know you that well. You're just on the phone right now, but I absolutely believe that. Joe, we appreciate your phone call. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, okay, my friend?
You got it.
Thank you.
702-221-7283 is the phone number. Chris Wynn, Ileana Dropkin here live in studio for Brian Shapiro on Pushing the Limits. Carl joins us here now on PTL. Carl, we appreciate you spending some time. What's going down today, sir?
Yeah, hi, Chris, Ileana.
Hi.
Listen, did you see what happened on Trump's podcast? He says he wants his next administration, and this is his own words, to be a Reich, like at the German Reichs. He said that Biden's campaign spokesman said that the language is clear that Trump intends to rule as a dictator if reelected. He's parroting Mein Kampf while you warn. He says he warns of a bloodbath if I lose in the unhinged behavior you get from a guy who knows that democracy continues to reject this extreme violence of chaos, violence. The ad echoes Nazi Germany, where he wanted Reich. He even used the same word in his own podcast, R-E-I-C-H. I mean, that's Nazi talk, you know.
Not a shock at all, right, Carl? This is something that it seems like it happens every day. Donald Trump not afraid to put his foot in the mouth, say something absurd, say something that's offensive, say something that's ridiculous. It's just not a surprise anymore.
His son-in-law is Jewish, so like that stuff is so confusing.
Let me explain something to you real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. Psychologically, when somebody says things, it's not always a slip or a joke. It's what's in their mind. And sometimes they try to forget not to say what they're thinking of, and they slip and say it anyway. And usually a lot of the things they say is actually what they think and how they really feel.
Carl and Ileana, what's that phrase we use all the time when people continuously over and over again show you who they are?
Yep.
How about this? Believe them. Believe who they are.
Believe them. Yeah.
Absolutely, right, Carl?
That's true.
Yeah.
Because there's the person who thinks normally has a wall in their brain, which when they start to think of something they're going to say that is not right, that wall blocks it. But when you get to a point like he is, where the wall has been broken down, he can't stop it sometimes, and he says what he means.
He absolutely does. Yeah, he does. Carl, we appreciate the phone call. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
We're talking about, of course, the Donald Trump hush money trial. The closing arguments will be after Memorial Day and will take place. The judge has made the decision on that. Of course, the defense rested yesterday in the case, and we're talking, of course, and a lot of speculation going on as far as whether or not we think how many charges he could be charged with, or what the verdict could be, and what the jury is going to be. Obviously, when you have a handful of days like this off, that means that not only the lawyers and the judges and all the people that work there, but also the jury has an opportunity to go back to their families and kind of decompress, and so that could have an impact as far as how this all shakes out. But I'm sure most of us, if you're not part of MAGA, or if you're just an independent, or if you're someone like Shapiro who doesn't like Trump, obviously, Brian, and others that are
same with us.
Same with us. Don't like him. Expect that he's going to face some kind of consequences when it comes to this trial. 702-221-7283 is the phone number here on PTL. Roy joins us here on Pushing the Limits. Roy, thanks for the call, sir.
Hey, how you doing, Chris? How you doing, Ileana?
Hi, good, thank you.
First thing, I'm sure that Trump didn't pay her $130,000 not to have sex with him. Let's put that in perspective. And of course he didn't. How could he possibly testify? He'd perjure himself within 2 minutes.
Not only perjure himself, right, Roy? He would say something that's completely crazy.
Well, we're against the gag order.
Or he would just start rambling about how this is such an injustice. I'm getting screwed over here. This is all biased. It's a bunch of lefties just going after me. Everybody's a lefty that's going after me. The judge is a lefty. All the lawyers are lefties.
He was once a Democrat.
The media is all a bunch of lefties going after me. It's Roy. That's what he would do. He would go off the handle.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's how Trump is. That's the way the guy operates.
Of course, they couldn't possibly let him testify.
No.
The thing that's really disappointing is that we're not going to see a January 6th trial. It's not going to happen. We're not going to see a document trial. And the damage could be done. What is absolutely unbelievable I guess really it is believable. Our forefathers never gave a second thought that a convicted felon could possibly run for the presidency of the United States.
They would have never seen a Trump coming in a mall,
no,
like in
right.
a million years. Like they were
Well,
serious.
there's so
people.
many
They
levels to that. It's not just a convicted felon.
No.
It's a guy that was a former president who was an incumbent that lost, right?
Right.
It'd be like Gerald Ford running in 1980, right? It would be like Jimmy Carter running in 1984. It would be like George Bush Sr. running in 1996.
Okay, but
you know what I mean?
But all decent humans.
In modern
this
political,
is even worse.
Ileana, and Roy, in modern political history, all right, we have never seen a scenario like this just from a political standpoint of the guy who lost after one term, coming back 4 years later and being the guy again. And by the way, what's unique about Trump is that for the whole 4 years that Biden's been president, what has MAGA and Trump been doing? Bitching about how they think they won in 2020, and there hasn't been a Republican situation where they've looked at other people to take over the party.
But
right?
also, he's the most ignorant of.
Yeah.
For sure, the founding fathers would have never thought that.
No, they could never have imagined.
No, they could have never. I mean, they were amazing in what they were able to foresee.
Yeah.
That long
you
ago.
said something. You said something before that's really the root of the problem here. No, seriously, it's a lack of education.
Yes.
You go to certain states, I don't have to be specific, but certain states, they put nothing into education. And so many people who support somebody like Donald Trump and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're uneducated and they don't really understand what's going on. The one other thing that nobody ever seems to bring up is that Trump lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton by over 3 million votes. He lost the popular vote to Biden by over 7 million votes. And if not for this stupid electoral college where 6 or 7 or 8 states determines who's president, the Republicans would probably never win another election
and that's why they can't afford, or they will never get rid of it, is because they would never win. Right? You have too many. Where the population rests are, they are just amongst the more educated set. Right.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. That is what happens.
Guys and girls, it's a moronic argument anyway. Okay, the idea that because more people in the country vote for one person than the other.
I agree.
Because there's Republicans in California, there's Republicans in New York, there's Republicans in every state. Okay, so I don't want to hear the sob story BS about how this means that all the coast would rule the country because that's where the population is. Hey, you don't have enough people that will vote for you. You lose. Okay, I don't give a damn.
To me,
you lose.
Every vote should be equal.
Exactly.
Vote. One vote is one vote.
But they can't let that be equal because, again, that's where even the Republicans in California are the more educated. Not all of them, but as the masses, they're just the more educated. So I get that. You don't have big populations in, say, Mississippi and I'm not trying to pick on Arkansas, Mississippi, but those areas, right? And so that is the way
states,
that they have been able to balance
that
out. Yeah.
Well, that's the only way that Trump pulled the inside straight in 2016 because he won the electoral college in those certain states.
You're always going to have Michigan, Wisconsin be Ohio be the deciding factors that are needed to flip a presidential election.
Yeah,
right?
No question.
Do you know how stupid Trump is? He actually made a statement yesterday or the day before about looking into banning certain birth control, contraception.
Yep.
And so I could have the condom police walking around.
Well, they actually think he might have gotten confused. You talk about age with the abortion pill.
He's absolutely stupid and crazy, which is a very dangerous combination.
No, absolutely.
Here's
but they actually think he might have gotten confused with the abortion pill versus
in Louisiana. In Louisiana, the House in Louisiana passed a bill, making the birth control, the abortion pills, considered a dangerous. It was considered like opioids and a dangerous drug now.
We have to be careful to make sure that it's the abortion pill is separate from women's like healthcare, which is the birth control, right? It's both healthcare, but birth control is a necessary for millions and millions of women.
Of course it is. I'm telling you, if any minority or any woman,
it's a natural right to not, worry
Trump's
about having
ideas when it comes to abortion, they change with the wind. The guy doesn't have any conviction when it comes to his ideas on issues like that. He's a transactional guy.
Right.
That's how he operates. It's not about his ideology or anything like that. Or how the guy was pro-choice for decades.
Right.
But he wasn't even pro-choice. Right? I don't think he really even gave a damn. You know what I mean? Like
he doesn't.
He's just an average dude that was like, okay, if I need to get an abortion because it's best for me as a person, I'd probably have I'd try to have my significant other or a girlfriend do it. You know what I mean? He doesn't have any strong convictions when it comes to abortion.
Who knows? He might have.
The man has no morals.
No.
It doesn't matter. He's all about himself.
But the problem is that affects millions of us across the country.
Absolutely, no question about it. I'm not saying it's not an important issue. I'm talking about him, how he addresses it.
No, right, but we're the kind of the. I don't know how do you call we're the ones who get caught in this crossfire of crazy.
Well, no, Ileana, I've talked about this a lot, and Roy, we appreciate the phone call. We got to jump around a little bit. Appreciate the phone call, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I made this claim. I've talked about this. I want to get your take. I'm a guy, all right, in my 50s, right?
Okay, I would have never thought you were in your 50s. You look good.
Let me tell you something, all right? Yeah. When it comes to abortion, I think women should be making the decisions.
Oh,
women should be making the decisions across the board. Women in power, right? Women in politics,
right?
And across the board, it is females who should be talking about this topic.
Okay, so wait, I want to explain again.
Well, I'll finish off real quick.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the reality is what? It's a bunch of middle-aged, younger, or older men that are making the decisions.
Well, not only
mostly,
men, you
usually.
have a lot of women that are also.
I didn't say that all women aren't. Yeah, there's a ton of women that are anti. I don't call them. By the way, I don't call them pro-life. I call them anti-abortion choice because that's what they are.
Oh,
They're
I call them
anti-abortion.
No,
choice.
I call them pro-fetus. Like you're pro-fetus. You're not pro anything.
Right.
You're pro-fetus. You're not pro.
So what do you think about my take that I think women should be?
Yeah, no,
on the
absolutely.
But
I want to kind of explain that just for everyone because I get this all the time of people saying, well. It's this community or that they're aborting their babies. That is not what it is. The majority of the people by the actual people who collect this data who are having abortions are married. They're married. Yeah. They're either it's financially they cannot take another dependent on, or the baby has something catastrophically wrong, or it's affecting they could die. Right. So it really is a health issue. And so the majority of the ones having the abortions are not. No one goes out. I'm female. I've had 2 kids. I'm telling you, no woman, or at least, not very many, goes out, has sex, and says, let's have an abortion today. This is great. Like, gonna keep doing it.
Absolutely.
That is not what it is. It is invasive. It is demoralizing to be half undressed and like in front of someone doing this procedure inside of you. It is gut-wrenching, like especially when you want the baby. Like for anyone who thinks that, you're just so misguided, and that's where I talk about the ignorance. We are just a country, a world of ignorant people. And I had someone actually tell me that someone that I had known for basically most of my life is now a white supremacist. He knows my family. He knows we're Jewish. He knows I'm Jewish. He still sees me, gives me a hug. I'm like, how is that even possible? So he's standing next to a Nazi flag.
Oh, jeez.
Like, how do you not understand the concept of what that is? Because at that point, I don't think it's anti-Semitic. I think it's just ignorant. It is just beyond ignorant, right? A real anti-Semitism is that you don't think that we should be allowed on this earth. Real Semitism means you will not associate with me because of my religion, because of my heritage. And that's kind of what I go back to. We are a country of ignorant people.
And to your point that you made regarding women going out and almost celebrating getting an abortion. So I was talking to one of my idiot buddies the other day, who, again, is a moron when it comes to this topic. And he chimes in with well, a lot of you Dems and lefties, you're just pro-abortion. Okay, first of all, let me help you out, all right? There's no such thing as any person that's pro-abortion.
No.
All right. What Ileana just said is 150,000% correct. All right. Abortions are done because of a need to do them or for a necessity. Right. It's not done because it's a love of doing one. Right. Or that people are not doing jumping jacks and somersaults and getting all pumped up because an abortion is about to take place. That's not the situation at all.
Or
you idiots out there, there's a lot of you morons out there that want to say that Democrats and lefties and people that are pro-choice are pro-abortion. You're completely clueless and don't know what you're talking about.
Or you think that it's okay that, I'm just going to be careless because I know I can go in and get an abortion.
Right.
Like,
well, again, I'm not a woman, so I can't speak to that mindset.
You don't think like that because it's such a personal thing. And then when you have this being growing in you, like no one's having an abortion at 6 when the baby fetus is 6 months, like just for the hell of it.
Right. Yeah. The phone number is 702-221-7283. Let's check out the phone lines. We've got Lori waiting on the phone lines. Lori, appreciate you spending some time on this Wednesday. What is going on?
Well, I wanted to comment on something Mark said.
What's
he
that?
He said that he was watching some moron in South Florida on a podcast, supposedly some prosecutor, and that states can't charge federal charges. What the heck? I mean, if we couldn't do that, then there wouldn't be anybody in jail for murder. There would not be federal prisons in every state in the country. That claim was just so absolutely ridiculous that a state can't charge a federal crime.
Well, Lori, the problem I have with this is what I have the problem I have with it is that so he's quoting one guy in an anecdotal situation on some podcast, and then this is what happens all the time, right, Ileana? Is they find one person or they find two people or five people, right? When it came to COVID-19, this happened a lot, right? Where you find like one or two or five people, and you're like, oh yeah, and they take it like it's the gospel. And they act like it's solid truth, and all of us should just believe it.
Some experts said,
and it counters your entire point. I'm like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Yep. You got one person that's chiming in, okay, and you've got 50,000 other people that say completely the opposite thing. So no, it doesn't prove your point.
And then did the person misspeak? Did you just maybe not fully understand that? Was that wrapped in with a bunch of other comments?
Mm-hmm. But I want to preface it by saying Mark did point out that he hates Donald Trump more than anybody. So I assume he's probably on the left. He's probably Democrat. But he was trying to make the case that Trump was going to get off pretty much scot-free, which, look, he possibly could. I'm not going to sit here again.
Absolutely.
It's possible that Trump could roll out of there like OJ, right, and be completely fine. And then all the attention will go to whatever the next trial is whenever the next trial starts. You know what I mean? Then all the attention will go there. But the point being is that, he was trying to make the case because of one guy, like you said, in South Florida who had talked about it. Lori, we appreciate the phone call on your Wednesday. Have a great rest of your hump day. All right?
If he ends up getting somehow acquitted or found not guilty, he'll be insufferable, and he will have the headwinds going into the election.
It'll be exactly like 2016, Ileana, when all of the MAGAs and Trumpers were jumping in my face. Oh, look what happened. You were wrong. Trump won.
I got a lot of that.
That's what's going to be like. Yes. I'm telling you, that's what it's going to be like.
And you know what? I have a very close family friend who did that to me.
Yeah.
But when Biden won, I didn't say a word.
Well, it wasn't just close friends, Ileana. It was family members. I have cousins who are Trumpers, okay, in Georgia, and they were all in my grill on social media. You were wrong, Chris.
But when it was the flip,
how'd that work out? How did Hillary Clinton work out in 2016? How'd that work out? A few months ago. I'm like, come on, man.
And she was found to have not done anything wrong. Like not being able to fully understand how to use a computer is not a criminal.
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the election. I'm talking about the election. I'm talking about winning the election.
But that's what happened, right? Like
everybody wanted to be a know-it-all. Everybody wanted to be a Monday morning quarterback after the fact.
She was on pace to win that until Comey came out. Like we all know it. We all saw it. Like,
and again, as Brian Shapiro's pointed out on this show, and I agree with this, right? She did not campaign hard enough in states. My home state of Michigan, she did not campaign. She did not do well there. She didn't go to Wisconsin,
right?
And some other states in the Rust Belt that really were imperative to her winning and to, again, like we talked about at the top of the show, getting the vote out when it came to Democrats.
But
getting
paying
them
attention
excited,
to that electoral college.
Those
Like,
Barack
that's
Obama
what
voters
they were,
didn't come out for her, you know what I mean? And that really did hurt her in 2016. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. JD joins us here now on Pushing Limits. JD, what's going on a Wednesday?
Well, Chris, it's good to have you as the pilot instead of the co-pilot for a change.
Hell yeah, switch it up every now and then. Shapiro, he's got to be in and out every once in a while. He's got to take a break. So
I understand.
He lets us lefties jump in.
I'm surprised you're not familiar with President Grover Cleveland winning in 1884.
Okay, so again, what did JD, did you hear what I said? I said modern political history. Yes, I'm aware of President Cleveland, all right, back in the 1800s. Yes,
1884.
Okay, so back in the 1800s, right? He was an incumbent who lost after one term, right, and then came back and actually won. What was it? 4 years after that? 4 years after that?
Yeah.
Right.
So yes, I'm aware of that.
When the population
would you define
was
would you
50,000?
define 1880 as modern political history, JD?
1884 to 1892. It's not that far.
It's a while ago. It's over 100 years.
All right.
Have,
let's forget that. I just thought you didn't know.
No, I did know. But I'm talking about the 20th century and the 21st century.
My son would appreciate that because he's a huge history buff at 13.
Is he a history buff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, but I was aware of that, JD. Yes.
Boy. You're talking earlier about Hillary and the election deniers and Rubio. I know your co-host there talking about Rubio talking about denying the election of Bush and what have you, of Gore and what have you. Well, last night Bill Maher was on with Megyn Kelly, and she played the tape where Hillary said on The View, "You can run a good good campaign, you could be the nominee, and you could have the election stolen from you." So she still hasn't given up the fact that she thinks that.
Hold on, but the difference is she conceded.
She actually conceded the election.
The big difference is that she conceded.
She conceded the next day, but for the past 3 years, she's been complaining like that other woman.
Wait, but she has. Hold on.
From Georgia.
No. It's not the same because she had. Hold on. She had every right to complain about that. She was on pace to win until Comey came out and said, "Hey, we think that she did something criminal here. We think that there's a problem here. We think that there's a problem." She was on pace to win, so she has every right to feel cheated.
Well, and JD, and I know JD, I'll let you make your point. JD, I'll let you make your point, but let me say something quick. Okay, so you're being intellectually dishonest. If you want to compare the aftermath of the 2016 election with Hillary Clinton, how she handled it, with what Donald Trump and his minions did in 2020 and January 6th, we can keep bringing this up until the cows come home.
She didn't try to
There was no January 6th. For 4 years, Donald Trump has complained that he got robbed of the election. For 4 years. 2024, he's still complaining about it.
What did the Democrats do on the day of Trump's inauguration? 38 congressmen laid on the floor and said he's an illegitimate president. They rioted.
Ileana, did JD hear what I said? JD, did you hear what I just said? JD, did you hear what I just said? Or just ignore it and just have your? Okay, so do I need to repeat it again? If you're being intellectually dishonest, I'm looking in the camera and I'm talking to the microphone right now. You're being intellectually dishonest if you think that there's any comparison between Hillary Clinton and Democrats in 2016 and Donald Trump and Republicans and MAGA and what took place in 2020. It is completely two different things.
Very different.
It's as simple as that. Period. Full stop. I know you want to spout off about Democrats laying down or whatever it was, or you want to use again. I use this word a lot. Anecdotal evidence of Democrats being pissed. Okay, in 2016, which they were. That really lost. People were pissed. Okay,
we all were.
But if you're going to compare the two, my man, I'm sorry, JD, but you're just completely wrong on this.
They didn't try to stop the transfer of power.
It's not the They didn't try to decertify the election.
I mean, that's what we're talking about.
And then you didn't have 4 years.
No,
and then a lot of you Republicans, JD, like you bring up, well, there's still Democrats that were bitching and moaning for weeks or months.
Yes, of course.
Republicans and MAGA are still to this day complaining about 2020, and they actually believe that Trump won. in 2020.
And
Donald Trump.
So are
the-
some of
No.
the Democrats.
No.
Dude, I mean, it's like,
No.
again,
How about
Ileana,
the
this is what I
woman in
talk about when I
Georgia
talk
who
about
said
denying
she's-
reality. This is what I
No.
talk about.
That she still thinks she's the governor.
What is
Okay,
no.
that's complete nonsense. JD,
Doesn't make any sense.
Stacey Abrams.
Okay, in Georgia, yes, the race in Georgia, where she was beaten by Kemp. She was beaten by Kemp in Georgia. By the way, Georgia was
to be the de facto governor.
Brian Kemp was the attorney general who was in charge of the election, right? And there's way more meat on that bone than there is when it comes to the situation with Hillary Clinton in 2016. JD, you appreciate the phone call. We got to bounce around.
I think we could.
But look, JD's a perfect example of just wanting to deny reality.
No, I think we.
I had to repeat it twice,
no,
right?
I just think we conflate the fact that, the Democrats are upset that they lost and she feels cheated with.
And it was the same thing as Donald Trump.
With what he tried to do.
Whataboutism, yeah.
Hey, you election person here, find me some votes. Like, you here, find me some votes. Hey, let's figure out how to not certify and not to have a peaceful transfer of power. Totally different things.
No doubt.
Totally different things.
Yeah, no question about it. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. Chris Wynn, Ileana Dropkin here live in studio as we cover for Brian Shapiro here. We're coming up to the top of the hour, so we're going to take a quick break.
We're doing a pretty good job, by the way.
We are doing a solid job, but I get fired up on this topic. I mean, I got to tell you, Ileana, we are just in a remarkable space right now when it comes to politics. The idea that Donald Trump, it's so absurd that Donald Trump is the guy for the Republicans.
Again.
And I know, and I can see,
Again.
and Ileana, I can see it coming a mile away. Republicans and MAGA listening to this show right now, they're like, well, what about Joe Biden? He's 97 years old. The guy's, the guy's not going to even live. I've got friends, Ileana, I've got friends of mine that are they're not doctors, by the way, but they love to predict Joe Biden's going to have some emergency medical episode in the next 3, 4, 5 months. They love to say that Joe Biden's going to have a stroke and maybe die in the next 4 or 5 months.
I'll tell you, we had a family, very close family friend, but up until he was 101, was traveling the world.
Mm-hmm.
Bought a Tesla at 97 years old, sharp as can be. He's a Holocaust survivor, an amazing person, an amazing human. And yes, just because you have an age associated or a number associated to your age doesn't mean you're somehow not capable of serving in the capacity you are. And I find Joe Biden incredibly competent. Mm-hmm. I listen to him speak often. Does he misspeak? Yes, but he has his entire career, and we all do. I misspeak all the time.
Lots of great comments, Ileana, when it comes to social media right now over on the Pushing the Limits and Occupy Democrats Facebook page from Mary Woods, from Brenda Myers, Carissa Sharp, and beyond. Ed Tang as well, too, chiming in. A lot of good back and forth banter going on social media.
I like banter. Banter's important.
And we got a lot of phone calls on hold, too, as well. So Pushing the Limits, we will continue. 1 hour down, another hour to go. Chris Widd, Ileana Dropkin, as well as Justin Chuck here live in studio at KSHP AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and streaming all over the World Wide Web at the PTL Facebook page, as well as the YouTube page, and also the Occupy Democrats page as well, too, and beyond. We will join you on the other side of the break. We'll continue this discussion and get into a couple more topics as well, too. How about the VPs, folks? Who is Donald Trump going to pick as a vice presidential candidate, Ileana? We will talk about that.
It's all going to be cringeworthy.
And much, much more as we continue pushing the limits on your Wednesday.
Thank you.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com. And get started.
Residents of Las Vegas, Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council, with a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen. I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate. I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. You know, no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fund account and stay progressive.
My name is Kola Akimbade. I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas. As mayor, we will offset the off-season by diversifying our economy, bringing technology, high-paying jobs, and strengthening our entertainment industry. In order to tackle this issue of homelessness, we need new money because the budget will never be enough. Therefore, we will legalize prostitution and tax money will flow. Today, go to our website, Kola, K-O-L-A, kolaformayor.com, and my phone number, 725-263-2660. Support our campaign and donate today. Again, kolaformayor.com at 725-263-2660. My name is Kola Akimbade, and I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Calming.
Pushing Limits coming away live on a Wednesday here. KSHBM 1400, 107.1 FM, streaming all over the World Wide Web at YouTube page of PTL, as well as Occupied Democrats and Beyond. Also the Facebook page as well, too, which gets a ton of traffic, particularly when it comes to the Occupied Democrats page. I'm Chris Wynn, along with Ileana Dropkin, joining us here live in studio, talking some what our reactions are and our thoughts and our perspective when it comes to the Donald Trump hush money trial and beyond. Because, folks, we are just a matter of 5 months away plus from a very consequential election in 2024. And for all intents and purposes, sorry, all you people out there that think RFK Jr. has a chance to make a dent. No, it's between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in the 2024 election.
Now, if he's on all of if all of the ballots in all 50 states, yeah, he'll make a dent and he can pull. If people listen to him enough, like it should pull from Trump.
Yeah,
like it should, because he's way more associated with Trump. The people who aren't listening and aren't paying attention because of his surname and his family dynasty, it'll pull from Biden. So I think it has the potential of pulling from both.
702-221-7283 is the phone number. Bottom of the hour, Gina Yusufi is going to join us from Jacob Kilb's hockeyforkids.org, a tremendous organization here.
Awesome organization.
In the Vegas Valley. Obviously, with the Vegas Golden Knights and with the Henderson Silver Knights, hockey has become a thing here in Nevada.
A huge thing. And I'll disclose my son plays for her organization, and I am so grateful to her and to what she's done and what she's built, because my son wouldn't have had a place to play if it wasn't for her.
Yeah, and it is fascinating, how the sport has caught on here in the desert, right? Las Vegas, not traditionally a hockey hotbed, and that's a Captain Obvious statement I just made, but certainly it is great to see the interest and the availability of
now
that sport
the
being
sad
here
part,
in Las Vegas.
but if you would just kind of divert from politics for a minute, if you talk about the downside of that is there's not enough places for kids to play. So you come into town, you when you get kids excited, you go into my Title I schools and you say, "Hey, hockey, everybody, hockey!"
Yeah,
and you dangle some stuff in front of them and you leave. You're basically telling these kids, "Yeah, sorry, you're not the Habs, so you're never going to be able to play, and you're probably never going to be able to afford to go to a game." And that's the downside of that, because I also spearhead a charity, and we're in 39 schools. We were actually on with Brian in the end of December, and those are the kids that people like Gina in doing this organization help. Mm-hmm. Because if the parents really are motivated, really want their kids, then they get to play. Because hockey is ridiculously expensive.
No question about it. Absolutely.
And it shouldn't be just the haves that get a chance to. So, I know we've talked about roller hockey and street hockey and all those things, but that's kind of the downside, is when you come in and you get all these kids excited or the entire population, all these kids, and there's not enough places for them to play, and it's cost prohibitive.
Yeah. And when Gina comes in and we get a chance to talk to her, I'll tell her about my personal story when it comes, because I was a hockey player growing up. I played all the way up into high school, and I have a certain perspective on this that's interesting that we can discuss when she's in studio with us in just a matter of a handful of minutes. But we've been talking obviously about the Donald Trump trial and about the election. And I want to kind of bounce this off you, Ileana, because obviously we all know Donald Trump is going to be at the top of the ticket. But there's obviously, we know what's going to happen on the Democratic side. It's Joe Biden. It's Kamala Harris. Vice President Harris is going to be running along with Joe. But when it comes to VP candidates, Ileana, and Donald J. Trump, obviously we had a lot of news regarding Kristi Noem over the past few weeks, right? And her essentially harpooning and destroying her chances to be the VP pick there with Donald Trump. There's been a lot of discussion, obviously, about names like Tim Scott, of course, out of South Carolina, J.D. Vance out of Ohio. I think, to me, if you want to ask me personally who I think he's going to pick, I think J.D. Vance is going to be the vice presidential nominee for Donald Trump. I think that's, even though J.D. Vance, much like this next person we're about to talk about, was an absolute Trump hater back in 2015 and was absolutely annihilated Trump. But then once Trump won, it changed everything. So Elise Stefanik had an interview with Shannon Bream over on Fox News over the weekend. And while I don't want to compare it to how bad Kristi Noem, basically performed on the national stage when it came to her interviews about all the stuff with the dogs and her book and all that.
Awful.
Stefanik did not do herself any favors whatsoever in this interview with a very friendly outlet at Fox News. Now, look, Shannon is not necessarily a hardcore right-winger. I don't think of her in the same vein as I think of some other commentators that are on the right or interviewers or media people. But she's not going to necessarily – she wasn't necessarily going hard at Stefanik in this interview. But, to kind of round it out and to paraphrase, basically, she was asking her about what she was saying about former President Donald Trump before he was elected in 2016. And she brought up direct quotes from Stefanik about her talking about Trump, basically saying that he does not reflect the values of Republicans. He's not somebody that we should even be running. He's not somebody that she felt would be a good reflection as far as, the president of the United States down, so on and so forth, things like that. And so what does Stefanik do? Ileana, what do all these Republicans do and these people that want to latch on to MAGA, what do? They kiss the backside of Donald Trump. They never admit to, either making mistakes or being wrong or apologizing or anything like that.
Or being human.
And
like
so in this interview, she basically says, I never felt that way, even though she's presenting her quotes in her face. She's basically saying, I've always been on the Trump train. I've always been on board. And you can look at my record throughout the last 5 years.
It's the audience of one, right? They're speaking to the audience of
and
one.
Shannon Bream's like, look, I got this. I have these quotes right in front of me here. Why can't you just, basically admit about what you felt about the former president Donald Trump and so on and so forth. And she just continued not to do it. Essentially, to round this out here, Ileana, she made herself look really bad, kind of destroyed her credibility. And now, people in the political circles are saying that she now has kind of shot herself out of the race and is not going to be the vice presidential nominee. I mean, this is it's almost getting down to a process of elimination when it comes to these VPs. Now, look, Ileana, I know you probably don't want to talk about this because we're two Democrats, and we couldn't care. We couldn't care less who the VP is.
No,
and
it
by
is
the way,
kind of important, right? Because that might be if he wins, that might be the next president. And then Trump's not a young man. He's
no question about it.
He doesn't look like the healthiest of people either. So
yeah, but it's not going to move. So I disagree with Brian. So Shapiro, I want to say like 3 or 4 shows ago, he was talking about this, and he's talking about how, Kamala Harris needs to get out there and needs to campaign. She needs to be for. Okay, I'm going to disagree. Look,
ticket.
The vice president's important when you're the vice president, okay, and you're in the office because obviously you're, one heartbeat away from the presidency.
They're
but
usually the attack dog, right?
Let me finish though. When it comes to elections, though, and when it comes to campaigning, vice presidents, they don't move the needle. They just don't.
No,
okay?
but they're usually the attack
Mike Pence
dog.
didn't move the needle. Every other vice president, Joe Biden included,
Wait, now,
didn't move.
I hold on. I do think Mike Pence gave Trump more legitimacy in 2015 leading up, 2014, 2015 leading up to 2016. I think he gave him
from a Republican standpoint.
Right, absolutely, because he's a professional politician, and Trump wasn't. Obama picked Biden for that foreign experience that Obama doesn't have. So when you say it doesn't move the needle, they're voting top of the ticket. You're absolutely correct on that. But I think it does move the needle when it gives that top of the ticket a little bit more legitimacy, a little bit more. McCain, and I heard like Palin was not his comfort level.
How that worked
wasn't
out for the late John McCain, God rest his soul.
Right, that wasn't really his pick, but they picked her because they felt he needed a female.
Right. And
from
right. You'd make the case that it's Donald Trump, you should pick a female too, right? I mean, for any Republican in this situation that Donald Trump is in, I mean, you got to believe a female running mate would be absolutely positively ideal. And look, maybe it is Tulsi Gabbard, right? Maybe it's Tulsi Gabbard who ends up being his pick. You know, I don't know if Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, is she on board with being the vice president?
I think she's one in the mix. Yeah,
she's in the mix. But Elise Stefanik definitely was in the mix. There was no question, and she wanted the gig.
Okay,
obviously, Kristi Noem wanted the gig.
Can I bring up the fact that just because why is it again female, career oriented? Why is it that everyone thinks that like it's just we're just gonna throw a female on there and we'll get more of the female votes. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. Like, it doesn't matter who that female is.
Because
like,
it goes back to what you talked about at the top of the show, and you were right.
Ignorant.
Yes, it's
so
because
ignorant.
the American public, that's the way. This is why Pete Buttigieg. This is why people say that, Ileana, this is why people say Pete Buttigieg is never going to be president of the United States. Because
I think
because he's homosexual. That's why that's why. Look, I think he'd be an outstanding president.
Oh, me too.
He checks all the boxes.
I love Buttigieg.
But because the general public is ignorant and is simple-minded,
and maybe 50
not
years,
everybody. I'm saying
maybe
I'm
50 years from now we'll
people,
get there, right? Maybe 50 years we'll get there. But I just find it so it's almost insulting, like. When McCain,
well, of course it is for you because you're a woman. Yeah,
I'm a huge, I'm a huge McCain fan. I had the pleasure of meeting him. He is so funny. Like, he's so funny, and I have much respect for his service and what he did. He is an American hero. He is a treasure forever. I mean, he's an icon. But when he picked Sarah Palin, like, there was just even being a Democrat, there was no way I could possibly vote for someone who.
Well, I was never voting for McCain anyway, and I'm a Democrat. Okay, I was voting for Obama because Obama was the man.
But I really liked McCain. But the moment he chose her, I'm like, so you just picked a woman and said, oh, that's it.
Wait, time out. Do you vote Democrat usually? Or
I always vote Democrat,
okay,
but I am a big McCain fan.
You said you love McCain, so you would have voted for McCain over Obama if he had a different vice president? This isn't a gotcha question. It's pretty simple.
No, it's not a gotcha question at all. Like, I have voted for Republicans, yes, in the past. Usually down ticket, usually the ones that I know that I'm friends with, and I believe in them, right? Because not all Republicans are bad, not all Democrats are good. But in that case, I was like, it took that option completely off the table for me, is kind of what I'm saying. So yes, I would have probably gone with Obama anyway, stop the ticket, but it took that. I was actually helping for doing some fundraising for McCain, like, and all.
So that's what it was. Okay, I was just trying to get the gist, trying to get the details,
which is how I got to meet him. Right. Yeah. I had that distinct pleasure, and I'll always treasure that. But as soon as he picked her, I was like, I just feel like it's just like, oh, we need a token female, so we're just gonna pick whoever. It doesn't matter. See, oh, we have a woman. You should vote for us. We have a woman, or come work for us.
But Ileana, you talked about it at the top of the show. There's people out there that are simple-minded. This is how they operate. This is the decisions that they make. If Donald Trump picks a woman, they're going to expect to get more of the female vote because of that happening. It's just that simple.
Crazy.
That's
like
the way it is.
Marjorie Taylor Greene to me is repulsive. Like, I don't care. She's the last female on earth.
He's not going to pick her, though. He's not picking her. There's no way. There's just too many. I mean, look, Donald Trump has a lot of things that are wrong with him. Okay, I think he's.
Well, yeah, he's going to have some decent.
I think he lacks a ton of self-awareness. I think he is way over the top with his narcissism. I think that at times a lot of times he makes ridiculous decisions and says ridiculous things. I don't think he's crazy enough to pick Marjorie Taylor Greene as his running mate.
No,
if he does that,
either.
he does that, he's going to lose in a landslide. But I don't think that's happening.
Well, I'll say who's advising him. Like, at a certain point, all the credible people will have either already left him or.
There's credible people around Donald Trump that are advising him when it comes to politics.
But there was at one point, right? There was. Yes. He had credible people in the White House with him. And
I guess we have to call them credible, right? Because they won in 2016. So those people, I guess we could call them kind of credible, right? You're talking about Kellyanne Conway.
They systematically left
Yes.
left, right,
Yeah.
left his orbit because
Burn bridges left and right. I mean,
right.
he's the
Oh, he
captain
does.
of burning
Yeah.
bridges.
Oh, yes,
Does
for
it
sure.
all.
He does.
Yeah, big
Yes.
time. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. We're discussing all things with the 2024 election. We've been focusing on, of course, the Trump hush money trial, as well as more recently here in the last 5-10 minutes, we've been talking about the vice presidential candidates. What do you think out there as far as callers? What direction is Trump going to go when it comes to the VP?
What do you think it should be?
I told you. I think it should be, even though I think he's a flip flopper worse than Nikki Haley. I think it's going to be J.D. Vance. I think J.D. Vance would be a
Well,
solid
you're not going to
pick for
get
him.
anybody in that. You're not going to get anybody that's not a flip flopper at this point.
exactly.
They're either hardcore Trump all the way, or they were flip flopped.
Yeah. Let's check the phone lines. Paul joins us here on Pushing Limits. Paul, we appreciate you. Appreciate the phone call. Thank you. Is Paul with us? Paul, do we have you? Al joins us now here on Pushing Limits. Al, what is going down on this Wednesday, my friend?
Oh, right here, just listening to you guys talk, and I find your guest very, very interesting. She was talking about abortion. She is. She's, she was talking about abortion, and she made some very, very good points. I'm out there engaging with people, and I've been asked on the abortion issue what my position is on the abortion issue, and this is what I responded, and a lot of liberals liked it. Now, I'm a guy, and when I became sexually active as a older teenager, I was raised that, hey, if you get a girl pregnant, you got to decide in 2 weeks if you're going to be a father. You know what you're getting yourself into if you're having unprotected sex. So my question to women is, don't you think that by 6 months you should be able to figure out if you're going to be a mom or not?
Okay,
Why do you want to wait till 9 months?
No.
You can weigh in on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know why this is such misinformation, but again, nobody is having abortions at 6, 7, 8, 9 months unless there is harm that the fetus is either no longer viable, has such issues where they are upon birth not going to have a decent life quality of life, right? That's pretty important as a parent, and or the mother is in distress to where she could die, right? Nobody is having abortions at 8 months, 9 months, 7 months, 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, 3 months going, I don't want to be a mom.
Right.
No one is doing that. So I don't know why that's out there. Like, this is kind of what bothers me, is that you have one side, mostly on the Republican side, I'm sorry to say that, just lobbing misinformation out there. And none of that's true.
And Al, I'll chime in
the
on
laws,
this.
okay. The
Al,
laws are saying that. That's what the laws are. They're trying to pass a law right now that you can do an abortion up to 9 months.
No.
And right now the law is that if the health is that's not the case. Okay, what is?
Well, let me chime in. Let me chime in real quick on this, because Al, I'm the king, Ileana, and Al, when it comes to boiling things down, the core argument when it comes to abortion is this: when is a person a person? That's the core argument.
Well,
all right?
stated, right.
And so bouncing to
I certainly don't want the court to decipher that either.
So here's the thing. When people start talking, especially, and usually it's lawmakers, they're not doctors that are weighing in on this, right? Or scientists that are weighing in on this. Usually it's lawmakers, it's politicians, it's people who are partisan, it's people who are religious, right? They want to bring the religious views into this and have viewpoints. And then it's a discussion also, and to me, this is something that just gets me irritated beyond all belief. You have this discussion by morons and by people that are uninformed of, oh, it should be 6 weeks. Oh, it should be 3 months. Oh, it should be 6 months. It should be this. It should be that. This should be the number. This should be the number. It's all nonsense, okay? When it comes to abortion, all right, the people who are anti-abortion choice, their entire ideology is that abortion is wrong, period. That's their viewpoint.
Okay, so they don't need to get one.
These people, okay, there's no leeway, okay? There's no grace,
then they
period,
have every
or anything.
right not to have one.
They think that we, since 1973, have been committing capital murder, essentially. These people that are Christian evangelicals, essentially, right, who are religious zealots, feel that we have been committing murder on a national and a state level since 1973.
Right, but I want to.
They don't rationalize. There's no rationale.
He's talking about what the comment was.
Yeah.
Oh, at 9 months you just decide you want to be mom. No, that's not what it is.
You pointed it out. You told him, Al, it's misinformation. That's not right. He's getting bad information.
Like, that's not what it is, unless the doctor says, hey, the baby is no longer viable. We don't get it. We don't have a heartbeat. We don't, your life's in danger. You're going to die unless we do this procedure. It is not happening at that late stage.
Al, we appreciate the phone call.
Final question.
Okay.
Final question. If a man like me, or if I teach my boy, hey, if you get a girl pregnant in 2 weeks, you got to decide whether you're going to be a father. You're a father.
It's not his
What do you
decision.
think?
Yeah, it's
is
not
the
about teaching your boy. It's not Al. It's not about teaching your boy anything. Yeah,
it's the
it's
girl's
the decision of the woman. The woman. It's the young woman's
you're
decision.
right. You're 100% correct.
I'm one of those people that thinks the man should have no say.
I mean,
no say. The man has no
I've
say.
told women.
In my opinion.
I mean, the sad
Zero.
thing is, if a man if say a boyfriend comes in and says, I want to be a dad, well, then that's still between them. But the woman has to carry the child.
No.
I'm not even giving that. No, the guy doesn't get to decide.
Well,
I'm telling you right now.
I'm just trying to be empathetic.
The woman is the one who gets to decide.
I'm just trying to be empathetic to the
Well,
men out there.
I'm looking at it straightforward. I'm saying, hey, no. The woman who's carrying the child, who's going to have the baby, and who's, by the way, the woman who it's not even theoretically will be responsible for this child, responsible for being a mother, is the one in the end who will make the decision, not some kid or some man or some 50-year-old man.
That's
Doesn't
why
matter.
I think if you're told, when the baby is developing, 3-4 months old, hey, this baby is going to have Downs, this baby's going to have this or that that is such a personal thing, because that is your whole life.
Yeah.
You are going to care for that child your entire life.
Exactly. No question about it.
That is such a personal thing.
And look, I'm not trying to be cutthroat here. I'm just trying to give a perspective. Look, I don't think because I talk to men all the time. What do you mean? He's going to be the father? He should have a say. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't get a say. Okay. Yes, you got the girl pregnant. Okay. And look, I understand there's all different types of relationships. You might be his girlfriend, it might be his wife, might be your fiance, whatever, okay? But at the end of the day, I keep saying, at the end of the day, in Chris Wynn's opinion, it's all about the women making the decision. It's all about the woman making the decision. And it sickens me that we are at a place in America right now where the decisions about whether or not you can get an abortion in certain states are being made by men, particularly middle-aged men.
We're a country of red and blue states, right? So
100%.
Absolutely. So if you have to, as a necessity, get an abortion and you're in a red state, you have to then a red state that has put some of these ridiculously repressive backwards laws in, you have to go to another state in order to get the care that you need, and that is not okay.
Yeah. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. Patrick joins us here on Pushing Limits. Patrick, what's going on?
Yeah, I thought we could talk a little bit about the hush money trial, guys. This week, Cohen's lies and his admissions of stealing from Donald Trump really cuts at the heart of the evidence of the case.
It really doesn't.
It actually doesn't. Patrick, you call in every show you call in, and you just have bad takes, man.
No,
bad takes. We gotta let him go. I mean, you can't. Come on. So his first statement is that it cuts into the case.
Prosecution
we talked about this.
Yeah.
We talked about this like an hour ago, Ileana. Okay, it's baked in Michael Cohen and who he is as a guy. Okay, we all know Cohen was a Trump. He was a guy that was Trump's guy. Okay,
right.
He was his right-hand man. All right, we all get it. He had his back. Now, is he vindictive? Yeah, he's not a Trump guy anymore. Okay. We've seen this story before many times when it comes to people that were once on Trump's side. You saw the Brett Baer interview where Brett Baer went down a laundry list of people that were in Trump's camp that now despise him or he despises them. You know what I mean? So we get that, all right? But Patrick, you're killing me, man, with your bad takes. Comes on and says that, oh, yeah, the trial's, it's been sabotaged because Michael Cohen, because of his character.
Again,
and
the
because
prosecution
he lied.
Prosecution was
Give me a break,
totally, aware. They methodically, prepared the jury for, yes, we know he's a liar. Michael Cohen himself admitted he's a liar. Groundwork was already laid.
Yeah, and we talked about this as well, too. Look, it's not that's not going to be the situation when it comes to this case. 702-221-7283. Delani joins us here now on Pushing the Limits on your Wednesday. Delani, thanks for the phone call. Is Delani with us? Delani might have taken it out. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. Chris Wynn, Ileana Dropkin here live in studio. Fernando joins us live now on the show. PTL, Fernando, what's going down?
Hey, guys. Yeah, I was hoping that Nikki Haley would stay in and Kamala Harris would run. It'd be an all-women election because I'm tired of voting for men for president. And or a Caroline Kennedy. I mean, she's smart. She's ambassador to Australia. And I really like to see a woman run the country. Now, it's time. It's been time.
She's smart enough to not want to do it.
All right, so the woman that's going to be prominent when it comes to 2028 and 2032, I already pointed this out with Brian the other day on the show. It's going to be Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer
I like
in
Whitmer.
Michigan is going to be one of the figureheads of the Democratic Party moving forward.
I like Whitmer a lot.
And that's not just me being biased because I'm a Michigander. It's because
So is my husband.
and she is going to absolutely be
Kelsey Plum divorce?
What's that again?
Any updates on the Kelsey Plum divorce? Any updates on that?
Nothing yet so far. No, not at all. Oh, by the way, Stacey Abrams is going to be in the mix too. Stacey Abrams, I think, is going to
I like Abrams
be in the mix as well too when it comes to Democrat
That means
women
we have a
out
chance.
there making a difference.
Kelsey Plum's available. We have a chance, Justin.
Oh, Nunchuck's
Right,
loving that.
We all have a
loving
chance.
that. Little shooting guard action for the Aces is available now. He loves that big time.
Take care,
hey,
people.
thanks,
Take
Fernando. Appreciate the phone call.
you.
It's Pushing Limits coming your way on a Wednesday. One more phone call before we have our guest join us. Susan joins us here on the phone line. Susan, we appreciate the phone call. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great. How are you, Liliana?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. How are you today?
Good. I'm pretty good. I just wanted to call in and talk about the abortion issue.
Yeah.
I agree totally with Ileana. It's not something that women go do, just for fun. It's something that's very, very personal and very, like you said, gut-wrenching decision. It's not something easy to do. And I don't think that a lot of men understand that. I mean, they've got this image of the welfare mom who keeps popping out babies
Yes,
or
exactly.
gets abortion after abortion.
Because that's
And
because
that's
the
just-
right keeps putting that out to muddy that.
Or also, it's also the promiscuous young woman out
Right.
there that's going out there and just banging everything in sight and then getting abortions every 4 or 5 days.
Well,
You know what I
they
mean?
kind of marketed
Yeah.
the abortion pill like that. Like I mean, it's just bad messaging. Like just
Right.
kind of they marketed like that.
But do you think that
Yeah.
if Joe Biden's reelected, right, in November, he's already talked about this, how
Codifying
that's
it
going to
into-
it's
right,
about
codifying it.
codifying across
They should have
across the
done that
country.
years ago, but who would have ever thought? Although, I mean, the right's cunning, right? They just
Yeah.
Yes.
and
Yes,
they're
they're coming.
They play the long game, so they're very
Yes.
patient.
Well, you can say the long game, or you can say elections have consequences. In 2016, Trump won, and therefore
But
three
not just-
conservative judges
Right,
were
I
appointed to the
understand that,
court.
but they've
Yeah.
been doing this way before Trump. It's just methodically, putting judges here, putting judges there.
Yeah.
They were working on the long game. Like these
Yes,
people
yes,
are
they
very
have been.
patient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
there's no question
I
about
think
that.
I think Reagan started the whole thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think that look,
And that-
there could absolutely be some changes on that front. I mean, is Roe versus Wade going to be reenacted or reinstated? I don't know. Does it
Probably
get
in
to
a
that
different
point?
form,
Maybe in a
I would
different form?
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so the important thing for everybody, for you, for your friends, for your family, for all the Democrats out there, for all the normal Republicans, for the nonpartisans, is go out and vote for Biden, because that's our only shot. If you really care about this issue, this is our shot. So we're not red states versus blue states.
But Ileana and Susan, my overall take on this issue when it comes to politics is, though, and this is a very common statement that I'm going to make, it is the minority ruling the majority. Right?
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
what it is. And it's the evangelical right. It's the evangelical right that is making decisions for the majority of Americans out there with respect to this issue. And that's why a lot of us have a huge problem with it.
No, absolutely. Because they're the ones that are shouting from the rooftops when we don't shout.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. 702-221-7283 is the phone number. We thank everybody for their phone calls. Been checking out the text line as well, too. It's been a lot of hefty and hearty banter going on over there on social media on all these issues.
Discourse
because
is
we're bouncing around from the Trump stuff to, abortion. Other
Just
things.
make sure it's civil discourse.
Oh, exactly. That's exactly a good thing. And sometimes it doesn't get, too civil, especially when me and Shapiro get up here. Look, I sometimes rib Shapiro a little bit. I try to bump heads with him a little bit. No question about it. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll bring our guest here live in studio. It is Pushing Limits here on a Wednesday, on a hump day. Ileana Dropkin, as well as Chris Wynn here live with Justin Chuck in our KSHB studios, 107.1 FM and 1400 AM. We'll be back on the other side of the break.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
I am Eva Olivia Chase, candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, Democrat with progressive ideas, including a woman's right to choose, public money for public schools, student debt relief reduction, and forgiveness. As a trans woman and a veteran, I will fight to protect the democracy of our country. Vote and support Eva Olivia Chase for Nevada State Assembly District 16.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Okay. Nothing.
Rolling down the stretch here, it's Pushing the Limits. PTL Vegas coming away live from our West Las Vegas studios here, KSHP and 1400, 107.1 FM. Chris Wynn, Ileana Dropkin joining us here live in studio, and now our special guest as well too. Now, myself, as a former youth hockey player and a high school hockey player, this is a topic that is close to my heart. And as someone who grew up in Michigan, a state that hockey is pretty much a religion, along with a lot of the northern states like Minnesota, Massachusetts, and some others as well too, Wisconsin as well. It is definitely something that is worth discussion and is I'm eager to discuss. And Gina Yusufzai joins us here live in studio from the Jacob Kill hockeyforkids.org foundation, right? It's a tremendous foundation here that focuses on youth hockey in the Valley. As, of course, I pointed out with Ileana earlier on in the show, obviously there's been more of a focus on this sport because of the Vegas Golden Knights coming to town in 2017. With the Henderson Silver Knights now in town. You've got teams from both the AHL as well as the NHL here. And so the sport has absolutely grown. And it's become a situation here in the Valley where it wasn't necessarily the case before 2016. It was on a much smaller scale. So I'll share a personal story first. I moved to Las Vegas in 2003. There was not a lot of sheets of ice in Vegas in 2003. You're talking about the Las Vegas Ice Center, talking about the Fiesta, maybe one other sheet of ice, right, in the city of Las Vegas.
Yeah, there's been quite a few.
Back in that time. Yeah, but obviously at Thomas and Mack, when the Las Vegas Thunder were here, there was ice there as well, too. The point I'm trying to make is that when I was a youngster in Michigan, I also moved to California for a short period of time for my dad's job. And so we were trying to find hockey options in Central California. It was in Fresno, where we lived. And there just wasn't options. Okay, and obviously I'm going to date myself here, but this is the early 80s we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So there was not hockey options in California at that time. The San Jose Sharks didn't even exist yet. There wasn't, there just wasn't, soccer was the main sport along with football and baseball were the three sports that really, and softball for women, were the main sports that people kind of focused on, right? So fast forwarding now, of course, to the mid 2000 teens, right? And you knew that you were going to have an NHL team here. You knew you were going to have an AHL team here. You knew, right, Gina, that there was going to be a peak and an uptick of interest in the sport of hockey. And so that kind of leads us to the young people, right, in Las Vegas who have been engaged in this sport. And kind of, I want to get your thoughts kind of on that phenomena is the word I'll use, right, when it comes to how it's been received here in Las Vegas as far as the sport gaining popularity in what is essentially the desert where they didn't really have that hockey culture before that.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I'm from Southern California. I grew up an Anaheim Ducks fan, and, there's quite a few rinks in our, mile radius. Yeah. And then when I moved to Vegas in 2012, it was just, it was so tiny. And since the Knights have come, I was looking at our USA Hockey numbers, our registrations. We're like, our growth is just, I can't even explain it. Like, it's just ginormous, as far, and it just continues to climb every year. Unfortunately, we're getting to a spot right now where there's just not enough ice rinks for the demand. And then we also see that on the admin side, as far as like coaching and referees and stuff, like I don't want to say like we're hurting, but we're definitely struggling on the admin side of things. We can't keep up with the state can't keep up with the demand.
So much so where they lowered the referee age to 12. It's my son's
serious?
referee. Yeah, my son just turned 13 and he's been a referee for like 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So he referees to younger kids, yeah.
Yeah, so when you think about the foundation for Jacob, right, what are the main tenets? Are we as far as the foundation? Like, what is the end game and the goals, the main goals when it comes to this foundation?
So the reason why I started the foundation was to make hockey more accessible for children, for all children, whether it would be access to hockey gear or financial funding. So through the foundation, I got the opportunity to start a local hockey club or organization where that really funnels the income for the scholarships. Really, my end all game all is to always beat my financial numbers from the year previous. So if I gave out 10,000 last year, the goal now is 20,000, and then so forth, right? So it's just to be able to
make the most impact for the kids, because hockey's not getting cheaper, it's actually getting more expensive. And especially with, families who have multiple children playing in the sport, it's really expensive. And if the foundation can lessen that and give more, kids an opportunity to play, then that's really the goal.
And if a kid, I'll kind of pipe in here since my son plays for her organization. And I just want to thank Gina kind of publicly for the organization. If not, my son would have had nowhere to play. And I want to caveat with that, as much as we love the Knights, and we do, if you're not welcome in their organization, you pretty much have no place to go. And so if it wasn't for Gina and what she's built, my son would have never he's come into his own. At 9 years old, he was pretty much told by the Knights and the other organization we have here that he wasn't good enough, even as a 9-year-old. Like, he should pick another sport. And he just, we kept him in doing the house stuff, but in order to get better, in order to actually play competitively, you have to be on a travel team, and there wasn't anything for him, and his heart was broken, which is, as a parent, is so hard to see. And so we went to Gina's, and she opened her arms and her doors to him, to our family. And he is just, it's meant the world to him, because he was the kid at school who didn't fit in, who got picked on all the time. And he has a home there. It's meant everything. So that's what her organization means to a lot of families, to thousands of families in the Valley. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you've done for my son and lots of kids like that, because there was a lot of us who were turned away from the Knights, and they cut a bunch of teams. Again, love them, season ticket holders, nothing on that, but their priority is not for the kids. Like, you're kind of relegated to, you can play a game every 10 days. You can be on the ice once a week, once every 10 days or so, because there's just not enough for his amount of that. But you're never going to have that experience to be on a real team, to travel, to do all that, unless
travel
you're
hockey
very
is
few.
a lot different than recreational hockey.
Oh, no
Very
question about it.
different,
Yeah. I play travel hockey, so I know the
and
dynamics
that
of
what
it.
builds, that's what builds the self-esteem. That's what builds camaraderie. And for kids
Absolutely.
like my son, that gave him a sense of belonging. And without it, he would have just been so sad and just a different kid. So that's the downside of having a winning team here, who is looking at it very differently than from a parent standpoint.
But I want to highlight that the point that Gina brought up. She talks about how there just isn't enough sheets of ice. The supply, the number of people outweighs what the availability is when it comes to ice. When it comes to hockey, right? When it comes to hockey,
but
ice time's a huge thing, right?
So I want to, because Gina will agree with this too. But even if we had another 10 sheets, if it's under the control of still the one organization, you still don't get that. You still don't get families like mine.
But the point I was trying to make is that I'm kind of fascinated by what she said, because I think of Las Vegas, it's still a desert town, right? So it fascinates me that there is such a huge swell of interest in the game of ice hockey here, because the fact remains this, right, is that if you want to play basketball, right, all you need is a basketball. You go out there and play on any court anywhere around the Valley, right? You want to play baseball, you get a bat, you get a ball, boom, you go out there, you play on any diamond around the Valley. You want to play football, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, obviously, from the equipment that you have to purchase to play football. But again, football is a fixture all over the Valley. Hockey is relatively new in this town. And so it is, again, I reiterate, it's fascinating to me that there is this, even though there is an NHL team here and AHL team here, that a lot of the kids are like, hey, I want to play hockey. Mom and dad, I want to play hockey. And then it leads to, I'll use the word burdens because it is a financial burden to play hockey. And then it puts the onus on the parents to be like, hey, okay, so I got to figure out how to pay for this. And that's why the foundation is a tremendous thing, right? When it comes from a financial standpoint of being able to aid these youngsters to get into the sport. But to circle back to what I was saying, it does fascinate me that there is a huge interest, right? because we do live in the valley. We live in a desert. We live in Vegas.
Yeah, but most of
you know?
Southern California is not exactly like it snows there. So this is not I don't know why people make such a big deal of that. Like you're like Southern California has tons of rinks everywhere, and they have a lot of organizations who run different teams in there, so you get kids who can play for this team or play for that
but
team. That's the big
California
difference.
is
It's a little bit different.
Yeah,
Orange County, right, and LA. I mean, you're talking about again, that's a major city
and
where
they do a lot of
in
development
a major
teams.
area where
But
you
they
get,
do a lot
especially
of
Orange
development
County, you got people that from a financial standpoint,
right,
can
but the Ducks and
afford
the
to do it.
Sharks. I mean, what the Sharks were they after or before the Ducks? I don't know. I think they were 2 years before the Ducks. I mean, you're talking they've got 30 years under their belt of developing the city. You
No
know,
doubt.
and then. California is a lot bigger, but also they have a different governing body, right? So there's
They have a different mindset. They didn't have an NHL team and come and and basically build the ice and then control that, because right now her organization is the only one with development teams. So development teams that you can travel with, because that is really like that's kind of everything. And especially at a point where like my child is, where you have contact now, 14, you have contact. Well, if you're not actually able to do that, you can't do that in house league. So if your kid isn't able to play that, they miss out on all of that. So any dreams of playing college, that's greatly reduced.
Right.
That's so her organization is the only one now in town that has those development teams.
Yeah. So the running theme here is
That's
what
the
I'm picking up from
crisis.
Ileana right now is, hey, VGK and SHK,
Yes.
be more receptive to other people in the valley that want to grow the sport of hockey.
But it's not a
and
money
don't
maker.
bogart everything, right?
But it's not.
Am
I
I wrong on that?
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but it's okay. I'll speak from her because I'm speaking from a parent's point of view.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Right, but we have to remember too, ice rinks, while youth hockey does play a role in the building, there's also other types of activities that do, like, I don't know if you know, but a new ice rink did just recently open. It's not an actual like hockey ice rink, but it's a curling center. It's an ice rink, right? So that's pretty cool
For a sport, right?
So
for people who wanna
I
play
mean,
the
we're
sport,
making growth. Is it probably at the pace that we need to be? I would say no, but there are so many factors that lie within that. You know what I mean? I mean, who really has $40 million in their back pocket to open up a 2-sheet facility? I don't have it. And then if you go to the bank, I mean, it's not really a realistic time to, do something like that. So I know that there's other factors in it. And I'm hoping, that there are more ice rinks that do come, whether it's from the city. That would be awesome to see the city of Las Vegas open up their own, facility and maybe
the Parks and Rec for the county.
And, and it doesn't even have to just be an ice rink. It could be an ice rink, a basketball court, a soccer field, whatever, right? And it'll come, but again, right? I mean, ice rinks, it's not like, you can't
It's
put up
super
a
expensive, right? You just can't. Yeah, you can't throw turf on.
Yeah,
and
I
say,
mean, we don't live
"That's
back
it."
east in Minnesota where I could just, put a frozen ice pond
Put
in
it-
my
yeah,
backyard.
I didn't put a pond. The pond's back there. I had a huge one in my backyard.
And
It
it's
was awesome.
interesting too, because like I have synthetic ice in my backyard that my kid will go on, but it's not the same.
It's not. Yeah.
Gina, we really appreciate you spending some time and joining us. Give us some details as far as if people want to donate and want to get involved financially with the foundation.
So if they want to donate to the foundation, they can visit our website, which is www.hockeyforkids.org. They can make it specific, whether we have 2 different kinds of scholarships. So that's really where they would donate to.
I appreciate you spending some
Yeah.
time on a Wednesday. Ileana, it's been great having you here live
Have
in the studio.
a blast. Let's do this again. And I want to tell everyone out there, please donate to this foundation. Like, my family's blessed enough, and we've actually given equipment but we encourage people to donate, because you have a lot of kids who would never have that opportunity. And it's so much more than just playing a game. What sports does for these kids is it's confidence. It's everything.
That's a wrap on a Wednesday. Thanks to Ileana. Thanks to Gina. Thanks to Justin Chuck for making us look and sound good. Thanks to you, the callers out there, and the watchers and listeners. It's PTL Vegas here, pushing the limits. Brian Shapiro back tomorrow for the show. Have a great Wednesday. Rest of your Wednesday, everybody, and have a good day. We'll talk to you again soon. Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout.
We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road